Okay, good evening. Let's look at the next chapter, chapter 25. This is about large syndicated studies. So let me first tell you what syndicated studies are about. So let us look at a couple of definitions of different kinds of studies. I think you would have we would have covered this in the earlier sessions, but let's refresh memories. So there are three kinds of studies. One is customized study, second is an omnibus study, and the third is syndicated study. So when we say customized study, what research companies do is that the data belongs to the client. The client buys the fieldwork and the research for their needs, very, very specifically meant only to understand their problems. Right? Number two, which is omnibus, is something which is initiated from the research company's side. So number one is where the research data is completely owned by the client. Number two and three, it is slightly different, right? So omnibus is where the research company says, I'm going to float a study among a certain target group. So this target group can be working women, it could be youngsters, it could be people in the age group of 25 to 45 who are professionally qualified, right? Or it could be people owning a certain kind of higher order durables or some such thing, right? So basically the target definition is given by the research company, and the research company sets out saying that I'm going to talk to so many of these consumers in so many markets, and therefore the research company talks to the client and asks them if they are interested to get some information from this particular TG. So in an omnibus study, what could happen is that so let's take, for example,
so, Professor, there are multiple clients for an omnibus study.
Yes, there are multiple.
But that doesn't mean the questionnaire will become too long. You were saying the questionnaire should be short, no?
The questionnaire will be long, but it won't be. So what happens is every client is given a window of only 4-5 questions. We don't make the questionnaire so long that the quality of information suffers. The length of the interview would still remain the same, but we would try and see how we can fit in the information which the client wants. We ask them to prioritize to fit into this length of interview. Right? So what happens is every client has got, say, 4 or 5 questions. So let me take an example. Let's say I'm a research company and I'm floating an omnibus study. I'm telling my client I'm interested in talking to professionally qualified women who are in the age group of 25 to 35 and who are very conscious about how they dress. They buy certain kind of branded clothes and branded jewelry and all that. And so the clients whom I could speak to, I could ask for what they want to add in the study. Could be, say, for example, a Tanishq or a Titan watches. It could be a sari company. It could be brands of formal wear, right? So whatever, or it could also be even financial BFSI companies which are having products targeted at this segment, and they want to understand more about this kind of consumer, right? So each of these clients would say, I know so much about this particular target group, but I want to know these 3 or 4 or 6 things about this target group. So that's how we go about it. So every client's 4 or 5 questions data becomes the client's property, right? So say client X says I want, say for example, Tanishq says they have got 5 questions. HDFC Ergo, which is a health insurance company, they have got some 5 or 6 questions. So whatever questions which HDFC Ergo has asked, the data that they get for those 5 or 6 questions would be their property. the questions that Tanishq has asked, the data for those 5-6 questions would be their property. Right? So one data doesn't go to the other person. The other client also doesn't know what the other client is asking. Right? The research company knows totally how many clients, what questions, but the clients do not know what is happening with the other clients. And so number 3 is syndicated. So here the research firm undertakes the study at...
Also, I have a question. Somebody is talking, you said customized, omnibus and syndicated.
Yes.
There's something called ad hoc. What does that mean?
Ad hoc is like customized. Ad hoc is customized. So it's not, it doesn't follow any particular calendar. It doesn't, it's need based.
Okay.
So yeah, so client suddenly wants to launch a new product or is getting into a new market, and they want to understand how that market functions. So it is based on the need that the client is going to launch in that market. So syndicated, what happens is the research company initiates the study, and the company undertakes the study at their own cost, and then sells this data to any number of clients. Right? So the objective of what the study would answer is beforehand prepared. So it could be different things. It could be market share related to a particular industry. It could be the media, what time slots do people watch. It could be the kind of newspapers and radio channels and TV channels that people watch. So it can be a whole lot of things, right? So for every study, the objectives are clearly defined beforehand, and the research study happens at the cost of the research company, and the report is sold to the client, whoever is interested. So the clients again need not be people only from that industry. So anybody who wants to know about this report, they can buy. So there are many, this is off the shelf report. So
what happens if not enough clients buy the study? That's a risk.
That is a risk that the company takes. Yeah. So the data here remains the property of the research firm. Unlike the other two cases, the data is the research firm's data, and they're selling it. So these are some of the questions that we can get answers to from a syndicated study. So there are different syndicated studies in the market. It's not that one study answers all these questions, right? So different studies have got objectives of different each of these questions. Right? So this is share of brand, market share of the brand, and then which pack size sells better. So this is again market share related. Profile of the consumers for different brands. So this is about the consumer profile. This is a different syndicated study. Viewership of TV programs. How many impressions did my TV campaign get? This is more of media related. This again is media related. Which newspaper has got better readership? Right? And how much did my competitors spend on advertising compared to my brand? This is advertising related. So so this is also advertising related. How many impressions did my TV campaign get, and how much did my competitors spend on advertising compared to my brand? So we'll just go forward, and I will talk about the different studies that are existing in the market today. One thing I would like to impress upon here is that we are talking about the concepts, right? So we are taking you through what kind of studies are there and what kind of answers these studies seek to get. So the methodology, the operations, the way the study is conducted, or the way data is collected, they could be different. It can change over a period of time. Like for example, in an earlier era, people used to write in a diary, as compared to now it is collected through a tab and so on and so forth. So we're not talking about the technology and the operations part of it here. We're only talking about conceptually what kind of information does each of these study try to give us answers to. Okay. So these are the studies. Number one is consumer panel. Then there are readership surveys, IRS, Indian Readership Survey. IRS or NRS. NRS is National Readership Survey. This is not used so much today. The term NRS. TAM is television audience measurement. Okay. There is so today it is called, there's a body called BARC which does the study. Then there is retail audit, there is press audit, there is RAM, which is again about radio. So radio audience measurement. And then finally there is prescription audit. Okay. Let's move forward. I'll go through one by one. So
when you say audits, are these actual audit like chartered auditors?
Yes.
So they're done by CAs?
No, they're not done by CAs. The process is that of an audit, but there are field teams which go and look at what is there, what stock is
so very market
present.
Research people.
Market research people.
Oh.
Right. So the first one is consumer panel. It is run by IMRB or Kantar in India. It's got an urban and rural coverage with respect to the towns and cities that it is present in. So the kind of information that this study would give us is that it gives us market share information. So let's say, for example, I am a brand manager for Dove. Okay. And I need to know what is the share of my brand in the market, and that in comparison with other competitors that I have today. And I want to know this across geographies, across different urban, rural coverage. I want to know north, south zones, right? And how I have performed, how am I performing today compared to what I used to.
When you say share, I am referring to number of kilograms or number of packs or rupee value. What are we talking about the share?
Okay, good question. So it's none of these. So it is the number of items bought.
No, when we say share, it has to be either rupee value.
It is not rupee value. What were the other things that you asked?
Kilograms or packs?
It's packs. It's number of packs.
Okay.
It's not kilograms. It's not in volume or sorry, I missed the part when you asked about packs. Right. So so how many packs of Dove gets sold in the market, right? As compared to how much is it for Liril, how much is it for some other brand, Santur, and so on and so forth. Okay. And brand growth information. So this quarter, we are at quarter 4 of 2023, right? Sorry, 2022-23. So if the report gets published, say in the first quarter of the next financial year, we would know that what has the performance been in Q4 of 22-23, how has it been different compared to the earlier quarters of 22-23. Right? So basically, has it increased, decreased, growth, or grown or degrown? Consumer profile information with respect to, let's say, people in the age group of 25 to 35 buy more of my brand as compared to people in the older age group. or people who are working buy more than people in the old people who do not work, right? Regional variations in performance with respect to whether it is north versus south, or urban versus rural, and product purchase cycles. That is
I'm sorry, I
how.
missed the last sentence.
Yeah. So product purchase cycles are
No, before that you were saying some variations.
regional variations in performance. North versus south,
Okay.
urban versus rural. Product purchase cycles are how often do they replenish what they are buying. Do they buy once a month? Do they buy twice a month? Do they buy more frequently than that? How does it work for that? Do you have any questions?
Actually, I think maybe as a block, if you can talk a little louder and I understand product purchase cycle.
So it is how often they buy the product, replenish the product. So I may buy a soap once a month. Someone else may buy a soap twice a month. Another person may buy it every week, or as and when they run out of stock, which could be sometimes 10 days, sometimes 15 days, depending on how much they use it. So this also gives us how, does it keep changing, the product purchase cycles, how often their purchase occasion, the kind of SKUs they buy, how they buy, and so on and so forth.